and Robbo.
It's the most talked about TV show that's not on TV.
And I think you guys are amazing.
With raw, honest opinions.
This was not a mistake. This was a lie.
Exclusive stories.
Some industry insiders have been talking about this.
Is that a Ben, Rob and Robbo exclusive?
And plenty of famous faces.
I'm not wasting these gold moments on 60 Minutes.
The Ben, Rob and Robbo Show is the new way to stream your news.
This is the stuff that headlines are made of.
Live every Monday to Thursday at 1 p.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time on Ticker TV or Facebook and Twitter at BRR Show. Watch live or on demand.
Ben, Rob and Robbo.
Streaming across the globe, Ben Norris, Rob McKnight and David Robinson.
Ben, Rob and Robbo. News, entertainment, it's the Ben, Rob and Robbo. Ben, Rob and Robbo Show. Ben, Rob and Robbo Show.
Welcome to the Ben, Rob and Robbo Show. Here's Rob McKnight.
Hello there and welcome to your Tuesday edition of the Ben, Rob and Robbo Show. I always have to think about that. We've got a big show planned for you today and two big boys to join us to do it. Ben and David Robinson are here. Hello, Benjamin Norris. How are you today?
I'm doing really well, and can I just say I'm so excited for today's show because I was talking to my mum about one of our guests because we've got the granddaughter of Bob Hawke on the show,
Yes, indeed.
and she has been just giving me, because I mentioned this to her, and then this is the chat that she's sending me. I don't know if you can see that, like, not doing very well. I'm on television. She's
a chatty
giving
Sally.
me. Yeah, she's giving me a history lesson on the whole thing. She said that she met Bob Hawke in 1970 at a Labor Party function in East Bentley,
Okay, I'm
and at
gonna
the
ring
time he
bell
was
on
the
that one.
president.
We don't need to know the whole history.
Okay. Oh, sorry, hang on a sec. And then it says Rob McKnight was on Studio 10 and also met somebody.
No,
We'll
keep
talk
going
about
on,
that later.
keep going. Robbo, how are you feeling on this fine Tuesday?
Oh, I've got to tell you, I'm very hot, Rob, but we might have some machinery noise happening in the background. We're getting the soil tested around the studio complex here at the Coast Bureau. I don't know what any of that
Not a
means.
facelift?
I just got told by someone that this was happening. I don't know what that
By
means. There
someone,
might
do
be
you
drilling.
mean your mum?
I don't know. She's here. Basically, this woman, I don't know what her name is, but she does meals. She pays the electricity. That's all I know. She seems to be around here a lot, though. Yeah.
It's good when you've got help you can rely on.
That's right. Very true. Bless you. Love you, Mum.
Don't
I mean-
tell her I said that. All right,
yeah.
we're going to get into today's hot button issues because there is plenty to discuss. And the diplomatic war between China and Australia is deepening with the release of that picture. If you haven't seen it, there is a disgusting image showing an Australian soldier with a knife to an Afghan child's throat with the caption, "Don't be afraid, we're coming to bring you peace." As we've seen, the response has been swift and to the point. Prime Minister Scott Morrison has called the image repugnant and is now demanding an apology from the Chinese government. Here's some of what he had to say yesterday.
It is utterly outrageous and it cannot be justified on any basis whatsoever. The Chinese government should be totally ashamed of this post. It diminishes them in the world's eyes. I want to make a couple of points about this. Australia is seeking an apology from the Ministry of Foreign Affairs from the Chinese government for this outrageous post. We are also seeking its removal immediately and have also contacted Twitter to take it down immediately.
Well, the PM might be wanting an apology, but the Chinese government responded to the PM by saying he should kneel down on the ground and slap himself in the face. Acting Immigration Minister Alan Tudge also shared his views after speaking with Chinese community leaders.
I particularly want to emphasise this morning, though, that that tweet represented the views of the Chinese Communist Party alone and does not represent the views of the 1.2 million Australians who have Chinese heritage. And those 1.2 million Australians are like anybody else. They're hard-working, they're going about their business, raising their families and making an enormous contribution to our country. And it would be wrong to associate the views of the Chinese Communist Party government with anybody else who is an Australian citizen.
Well, it would appear the relationship between the two countries is only set to get worse, with News Australia is expected to take China to the World Trade Organization over the barley tariffs. Robbo, this image, as the PM says, is repugnant. I cannot believe it came from an official Chinese government account.
Yeah, it's really disgusting. The thing is, they really want to you get a reaction out of us, because when you think about it, you could create this image and you could put it out into, through other channels, but they've made the concerted decision, the very conscious decision rather, and that is to put it out there from one of their official accounts. Well, I don't know what the end game is here, Rob and Ben. I don't understand what they want, because this is not how a country who desperately wants to be a superpower, that wants to be on the world stage, but then is doing this kind of what really just amounts to gross bullying on a national stage. This is a disgusting image, and is this all coming from? Remember, this is all coming from when Australia was very vocal about saying, look, we've just got to find out where COVID came from. We've got to find out how we could stop it ever happening again. That's where it started from there. Then they did the tariffs. We've got to stand up to them. We cannot say to them that we will be bullied, that we will be intimidated. We believe, in these certain things about what we should do around COVID so it doesn't happen again. And they just keep on kind of attacking us. It's not right. And this is very, very low. What a low act.
Well, I'll tell you what they want, Robbo. You asked what do they want. They want silence. They have actually got 14 dot points, which 9 News has obtained, where they say, and part of that is the media to stop criticising their human rights and the Australia to stop questioning where COVID-19 came from. What they're hoping for, Ben, is that they are such a financial power. They're putting all these tariffs on our goods to stop us, to basically get producers angry. And they have a hold over us because we are so reliant on Chinese money. The only way that we would stop them is if we say, we're not going to give you iron ore. It's the biggest thing they want from us, but it's a big price to pay. Are we going to be happy if inflation goes up and wages don't? If the economy can't get back into the black, there are a lot of fall-on effects when we're at a financial war with China.
Yeah, there's a lot of things at stake when it comes to the relationship between Australia and China. But, this is a really clear indicator of the narrative that must be going on in China. And unfortunately, when you have someone of such high level making such an outrageous claim or using that imagery to state that claim for them, it's just showing you that this information is coming from the top. And I wonder what it is that we can do to show them that Australia, as a country, doesn't support this kind of violence or this kind of intimidation. And I think that's the biggest problem that we can see here, is a lack of information getting down to everyone. Because I felt for a long time we'd come a long way with our relationship with China. And then things like what's happened over the last, probably more so in the last 2 years, it's really terrifying, because a relationship decrease or any kind of war between the two of us is going to cost the country a lot of money. But at the end of the day, what's the limit? Where do we step in and say that this is not okay? And how, as Scott Morrison, the leader of this country, is going to step in and say this is not okay without making the situation any worse?
Absolutely. Robbo, when we first spoke about this issue of the Afghan report, we raised the possibility that it would be used by groups like ISIS to have a go at Australia and get a edge over us by using this narrative. But the difference between us and China, isn't it, that we have a free press? This kind of abuse would not have come out under a Chinese regime, whereas in Australia it does because of our free press.
Yeah, I'm going to play devil's advocate, though, now for us and for the show. The Chinese do have what is a terrible record of human rights, and Australia has only ever been too happy to point that out both to China and to the world. China is now doing the same thing back to us. This is all about human rights. Judging by this report, that Brereton report you mentioned, we have done some pretty horrific things. So why is it so bad that China shines the light on us in any way that they can, the same way that we have done for years since the Tiananmen Square massacre?
I think there's hypocrisy here, and there's also the difference that this was done by a official government channel, and they're telling our Prime Minister to slap himself in the face. I mean, this is appalling diplomatic relations.
No, but officially, we have also said to them that their record on human rights is atrocious. It's appalling. They shouldn't be doing.
We have done it properly through a proper official channels, but we haven't taken pot shots with photos. We haven't told the Prime Minister.
This is an official channel.
We haven't told China to slap itself in the face. You know, like
maybe that's
their
the way
whole
they do
attitude towards us at the moment is absolutely appalling, and it's not good for neighbours like us or good relations like us.
Understand that, but we can't be. What's good for the goose has got to be good for the gander, and at the moment, it doesn't really seem to be like that. I'm just playing devil's advocate here.
I understand, and we are calling ourselves out. This is the difference. We are calling ourselves out. We are holding inquiries into the behaviour of Australian soldiers. Can China say the same thing?
Very good point.
It's a very clear message, though. That's what's interesting about social media these days is that, you know, previously throughout the decades, lots of conversation breakdown between the two nations has happened behind closed doors with government officials. And then now with social media like this, that photo is a very clear message that indicates a lot more than I think people realise. It's very well staged. It's very well put together. And I think it needs to be addressed properly. You know, but to say that they've put that on social forums for Australia to, as a nation, thoroughly understand that this relationship's in dire states, you know.
Yep.
It's pretty scary.
I couldn't agree more. All right, I want to bring you a quick update on a story we brought you yesterday, and it's still on the same kind of issue because, remember, SAS soldiers were told they may have their meritorious unit citation medal stripped off them. Well, thankfully, it seems like that decision has been put off after overwhelming backlash from veterans and the public. Defence Minister Linda Reynolds has said that Australia's Chief of Defence Force, Angus Campbell, has not made a final decision on revoking the medals, but they are listening. I think that's a very good update, an important update, because we believed, and I think we came to the conclusion here, that everyone should be tried individually and go from there. Let's move on. It's a story that's always been told with news footage, but the devastating events leading up to the Port Arthur massacre will now be turned into a movie. Australian streaming giant Stan has announced the production of Nitram, that's Martin spelt backwards, but it won't show the massacre itself or name Martin Bryant. The producers have chosen to film the movie in Victoria instead of Tasmania due to the sensitive subject. American actor Caleb Laundrie Jones will play Brian in the film. Ben, let me ask you, should these type of events be made for entertainment, especially when the victims are still alive?
Well, it's no different to a lot of the other stories that have been told about our history when it comes to people who have lost their lives. But whether or not this is an indication of how old I was at the time, and I was 16 years of age, but this story still feels incredibly personal to me. And I mean, when I read this story yesterday, and I'm such a supporter of Australian film and delving into the, you know, subject matters that sometimes can be a little bit difficult to discuss, but this really doesn't sit well with me. I can't explain exactly why, but I strongly hope that Stan doesn't go ahead and makes this film because it is going to upset a lot of people, and I can't see the point. I really can't see the point. I can't see the point in people really wanting to pay money to go and sit in a cinema with a box of popcorn or, you know, or sit at their homes with a glass of wine and watch something that was about a man's mental health breakdown that ended the lives of so many. Like, what is going on?
But Ben, true crime is very big in this country. We watch dramatisations of big serial killers from around the world. Why, when it's suddenly something in our own backyard, is it a problem? And if you don't want to watch it, that's fine. That's a free choice.
I can't tell you. I can't tell you.
But why do you feel that it shouldn't be made? Like, this is something, you don't have to watch it. But the people who do want to watch this story, aren't they entitled to watch it?
Unfortunately, when it comes to the retelling of things, there's a certain element of glamorization that, well, I don't even think that's the right word, but that you can glamorize something as disgusting as a mass killing like that. I just think that we have so much talent in this country. We have better stories to tell. And I just understand that, yes, there are people that love true crime, and I get that, but I just am not going to get on board with it. And I just think it's revolting. I didn't like Snowtown when they made that, and Snowtown was also, you know, dealing with despicable people in this country.
Yeah, but sorry, there's this old saying of if you don't acknowledge history, you're bound to repeat it. I think there is a whole generation now of people who don't understand or are not aware of exactly what happened. I think it's important that this story is brought to the screen. Obviously, we all want it to be done in a sensitive way. You know, a lot of people are affected, not only the 35 victims, but also their families and the entire country. But, you know, for generations of people, if Schindler's List wasn't made, then I wouldn't know about the Holocaust, really. That was certainly something that piqued my interest, and then I wanted to know more and more about it because of that film. History is very important. Also, not really the first time we've seen Martin Bryant or the Port Arthur Massacre on screen. There have been many dramatisations of them from, you know, Crime Investigation Australia and forensic investigators and that kind of thing. So we've seen a lot of it. But I just think I don't understand the logic of something bad has happened and we should never talk about it. And I don't want to hear this man's.
I don't want to hear this man's name ever again. I just think it's disgusting. I don't want to hear his name ever again. He's in jail.
Watch this film, you won't hear his name. That's one of the big things.
Well,
the massacre will not be involved, and Martin Bryant's name will not be said. So they're already taking note of all of those kind of sensitivities. But I just think just because it was bad doesn't mean that we shouldn't revisit it. We shouldn't analyze it. We shouldn't explore it and also educate a new generation of people as to what happened there.
Well, I have to lay some things out on the table here. I do a true crime podcast called Monsters Who Murder, Serial Killer Confessions, and we have done an article on Martin Bryant where we listened to his police interviews, and it was fascinating to me. I'm not overly a true crime fan, but my partner, Amanda Howard, is known as the serial killer whisperer. She's really into all this stuff, and I sort of act like the person trying to find out more from her expertise. And I've got to tell you, I found it fascinating seeing his police interview and seeing the kind of guy who was getting off on publicity, wanting to know how many were dead, and the way he spoke and the craziness in this guy.
There's no denying the interest in there's no denying the public interest in true crime. It is only growing. People are only enjoying it more and more. I think we're going to see more of it. I think now that there's the thing that really starting to bother me about this obsession with true crime is that now it's an art form. It's like, how cleverly can we dig up these personal issues or this horrible moment in real people's lives for the enjoyment of other people listening to a podcast?
But the news does that every day. Many movies do that. They're based on real life tragic events. Why are you drawing the line on this one? You know, there's been heaps of movies made about terror events, serial killers. Is it simply because it's Australian and it's too close for you? Why is it okay when it's something from the US?
Rob, I have to come back to just the honesty of the fact that it just really, like, when I saw this yesterday, it really hit me in a really bad way. And I just was like, there's no way. And as I said, I love Australian film, and I think that he's a great actor, and I think that the people who are going to work on that show are going to do a fantastic job. I just don't think it should be made.
I have a real problem with you saying it shouldn't be made. I'm all for you not watching it. I'm all for you boycotting it. But the idea that people are telling other people what they can and can't make in a free society, that just tears through my heart.
Okay, well, you need to think about something else then, because I just think that's ridiculous. I honestly think that is absolutely ridiculous. There are some things in this world. I understand that. I watched a documentary on Steven Spielberg's reasons for making Schindler's List, and Robbo, you made a really clear point. But there was a lot of time between that. There was a lot more sensitivity, and I know that this film hasn't been made, so I can't really judge it at this point. But every single fibre of my being says that no matter how much public interest we have in true crime or the retelling of the story, it is wrong, and we shouldn't allow that film. We should say no to that.
But that's an opinion, and viewers will make the ultimate decision whether they watch that film and
mine's probably not a public. Mine's probably not the popular opinion. My opinion's probably wrong. Like, I mean, people are watching this right now, and they'll join us in the forum.
I'm just fascinated by the fact you feel so strongly that you don't want it made when you can avoid this very easily. You just don't have to watch it. I have a fascination with people who are like, I don't like it, so it shouldn't happen. You know, and that. I just, just confuses me. There's plenty of things in the world I don't like. I don't care if people go and make it or not.
I have this is a good explanation. I have a phobia of being in the ocean for how deep the water is. That's my fear. I don't know what's underneath me and it's deep. And I have this, and it's a logical thing in some way because I can't explain it. But this real fear takes over me with the idea of getting into the ocean when I don't know, and it's that black water. That is exactly the same emotion I felt yesterday when I thought about this. I thought it was disgusting, and I just was like, this blows my mind. Blows my mind. And they released it at the time of talking about the ACTA Awards, which were recorded yesterday. And I just was like, oh, we've got better stories to tell. We've got better things to do with our time.
All right, well, that's what you're here for, Ben, to share your opinions. Let's move on. Well, yesterday we brought you extraordinary vision of Formula One driver Daniel Grosjean escaping a fiery crash during a race. This made headlines around the world, but fellow race car driver Daniel Ricciardo is not happy with the coverage. He said it was upsetting for other drivers and families when they didn't know if Grosjean was seriously hurt. He took issue with the fact that it was shown repeatedly for entertainment and looked like something from Hollywood, saying it could have been shown the following day, not immediately after when drivers were preparing to race. Robbo, this was unbelievable footage. You can't really blame the producers of the broadcast for replaying it, can you, once they knew he was okay?
Of course not. This is part of the game. If you don't want to be part of a massive multi-billion-dollar sport that also requires there to be news coverage of it and also broadcast coverage of it, then it's just so ridiculous, such an elementary way of looking at things. Yes, it was confronting, but yes, it was a great story. How many times, though, have we heard, especially with our own Peter Brock, who died on a track, this is a good news story. This is fantastic. Obviously, it's going to be replayed. That is what society is. That's how the news game works. I just find it odd that this guy is now lecturing news producers and lecturing broadcast producers on how to do their job. It makes no sense to me at all.
You know, it's interesting, but look, I seem to remember yesterday when we were covering this, the initial broadcast, when it first happened, they went to reaction shots because they're live. They weren't showing it until he started to come out. And once he came out, they started to replay it. I don't see a problem with that at all, Ben. This was an amazing escape. That's why we put it in our rundown yesterday.
Yeah, I thought the footage was actually quite mind-blowing. I mean, at the end of the day, people are, I don't know, it's almost like an anomaly that this man survived something just so catastrophic. And I mean, I guess now that we're talking about it this way and we often unpack things in a different manner, you know, if you're the parent or the brother or the sister or a family member of anyone that decides to do daredevil work, such as speed car racing, you know, it must be scary for them. And I have to acknowledge that. I mean, that's a pain that they go through all the time, knowing every single time they say goodbye to their loved one getting in a car like that they could die. But I still think we can't stop the news from being able to report things like that. And it was an extraordinary piece of footage.
It was, and speaking of extraordinary pieces of footage, I'm sorry, Daniel, I'm not listening to you, because yesterday there was another lucky escape. Have a look at this motorcyclist in Queensland. As he's driving down the road, I haven't actually seen this footage yet. I wanted to wait. Oh, but he's okay, I'm led to believe. So he went in front of the car. So watch it, it's the second guy. Something comes off a car. There's the thing flying. It's the first bite. He falls. He slides in front of the car, but he escapes, and he's okay. So that is pretty amazing. That's an amazing escape because that was seconds from death. And isn't it good that there's happy stories where people do survive the extraordinary?
Absolutely. I think it should be celebrated, I think. This was a fantastic bit of vision. He's okay. And I like what you said, Ben. I think it's important to remember that every time that these people go out onto those tracks or do these kind of, you know, high-risk activities, there is that kind of sense of saying goodbye and, you know, hopefully I'll see you tonight for dinner. But that is part of the game and this should be celebrated.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Let's move on because we Aussies have just a certain way of life, which BuzzFeed has curated in a bunch of photos said to be bloody Australian as hell. First up, we have this beer that travelled as a piece of check-in luggage. Then
fair enough.
This permanent tribute to the iconic Bunnings sausage sizzle. Now, did they put the onions on the bottom there? I wonder.
I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah. Did we? And we've got this train will depart in 78,490 hours.
Oh, wow.
I remember that,
That's
yes.
a long wait for the Quaker Seal train. Then this possible answer on Millionaire Hot Seat, which of these is a common cut of diamond? And answer D, fully sick.
Fully sick.
And this brilliant map warning of magpie swoopings in the ACT, even colour-coded for severity.
Oh my God.
And
That's what we
finally,
Needed.
this drink driving campaign, Aubrey say, yeah, nah, to drink driving.
Speaking my language.
In my language too. I like those. Look, let's move on. And the TV ratings might be over for 2020, but Sunrise and Today are still at war. Ben, what's happened today that has rifled some TV feathers? Or some feathers? Ruffled. I was thinking it's not rifled.
It's the ruffled feathers. Yeah, well,
my
look,
feathers are ruffled.
Channel 9, this is a good one because Channel 9 are pretty furious about the behaviour of a Sunrise reporter, Sam Mack, at Brisbane Airport this morning, who was covering those first planes arriving from Sydney into Brisbane alongside a Today reporter, which was Ashlyn. How do you say Ashlyn's surname? I know you say Ashlyn, but it's a bit of a weird one.
It's oh my God! Until you asked that, I knew.
Crukellas?
Crukellas. Thank you.
Crukellas. Ashlyn Crukellas. Anyway, as passengers left a plane, a media swirl managed to happen trying to capture those first few moments after 8 months of the border restrictions. Both Mack and Crukellas were reporting live for Sunrise and the Today Show respectively, with limited people to talk to. Both reporters ran in with mics out hoping to score the very first interviews. This looks like Frontline, if you ask me. But sources at Nine are critical of the way that Mack behaves, saying that he didn't follow standard protocols. It's not uncommon for reporters to try and stand out of each other's shots and respect each other while trying to get interviews. Insiders claim that Mack broke those rules and ambushed the Today reporter, which I don't know if you've been able to see some of this, but if you ask me, because I watched all of the footage of Sam Mack, I thought he did a fantastic job. He was actually quite hilarious. But look, it's kill or be killed. For their part, insiders at 7 are bemused by the claims telling TV Black Box there was no malice from Mack and it was just him trying to be funny, which, to be honest, I think that's what was going on. Robbo, you, my friend, have been out on the road. Is this bad form from Sam Mack to try and, throw another network under the bus?
Yes, it was rude. It was awful. Just watching that vision, the Nine reporter is actually talking. He goes in between them. I'm happy for a gag. I love a good gag, love a good cross-network gag. But he appeared to keep doing it, and it looked bad. It looked bad on him. It wasn't funny. It was maybe funny the first time, but not the second or third or fourth or fifth. It just looked rude.
I think
it was funny. Sorry, I was going to say it's funny, but Rob, because we were talking about this morning, I want to know, because you have a story that I want to ask you about, because I thought this was quite funny. Haven't you tried to block someone before?
I've never been like that, but when you're on the road, it is competitive. And I think there's two different things going on here. The Today Show person is a news reporter. Sam Mack is a light entertainment weather reporter. The two have very different agendas. She's in there trying to talk to people in a serious manner. He's like, this is chaotic. Look what's going on. Oh, and he was even saying things like, oh, she's getting better interviews than me. And so he was playing that. It was very jovial on the Sunrise version. Where
good for his product, bad for her product.
Sure.
So the arrogance of him is that it's great for his but he's been so arrogant and rude that he ruins her product. There was no jovial nature here, really. It was, I'm getting good gags, getting good laughs, stuff anyone else who's here trying to do their job.
It could also be said, Robbo, that, it's each to their own when they're out on the road? Or do you have to try and work together?
I think
Breakfast
we all
television.
have to work together. It is such a small industry. I think that you have to work together. You always stand back from the camera. Sometimes other reporters will hold your mic for you because there's too many people in there. That is good reporting. That's working together. Obviously, everyone's trying to get the scoop. But this kind of running in whilst this poor woman's trying to do her job, no, I just didn't think it was very nice.
So
I will tell you that just because I know that we love to bring up stories from our past, I can tell you that, and I'm sure that these people will hate me revealing this, but there was a moment on my series of Big Brother where they revealed this 18-year-old boy had never kissed a girl before, and I'm pretty sure they cast this boy knowing that he'd never kissed a girl before. So they set up a challenge where they were going to get his first kiss on television, and I knew where the hero camera was in the lounge room, and if you watch that piece of footage, you can see I run around and I blow block while screaming and yelling and going, yay, and clapping my hands. And I blocked all the footage of the hero shot so that moment didn't get what I wanted. And that's because I was on a game show to win $250,000. And wasn't I an arsehole for doing that? Yes, but I got the money.
So you were stopping him from having his moment, were you? I thought you might try and get behind him to be in the shot, but you literally didn't want that moment being used to give
I
him
blocked the
sympathy.
shot. Yeah, I was like, this is going to be the highlights package. This is going to be the ad. Bradley and Estelle kiss for the first time. And I was like, I'm not going to let this happen. And I literally ran in and was like, and I was clapping my hands and going, yay, but blocking this camera the whole time. Because I'm an
no wonder
asshole.
you're okay with Sam Mack doing it to someone else. You
Mental
pioneered the
note,
message.
Don't ever get in the way of Ben's shot.
Terrible person.
But I will tell you,
person.
it is competitive out on the ground. I was doing a live cross with Mark Beretta at Sunrise, and today had I think it was Stevie Jacobs doing the weather. And it was in Geelong, they were in the grand final, and there was lots of colour and everything happening, but I was like trying to stitch everything up, and there was this car that had been painted in the Geelong colours, and I did a deal with him. I went up and said, "Oh, mate, let's leave your car here in the back of our shop for the whole time. Don't move it. Don't go anywhere else. We'll talk to you." And so I got exclusive ownership of this guy. And Stevie Jacobs is in there trying to get his interview. And we're like, mate, you've got to get out of the shot. So Stevie, even when we weren't on air, I was saying to him, mate, you're in our shot. We're on air. So they couldn't ever get an interview with him because I wanted to be the best and I wanted to have the shot.
So
and
you're
my
an arsehole as well.
Sorry?
Robbo's looking at the two of us like,
I know,
pack of
but it's
assholes that I'm
about-
doing this
you
show.
know, I don't think that's not me. I'll show you something else I used to do. I used to make promos for Channel 9, and I ran a campaign where we showed how 9 was better than 7. And I made a promo that caused a lot of issues on the road. Let's have a look.
On 9 News, you met the hero who saved everyone from a gunman.
You guys okay?
On 7, you didn't. On 9 News, you witnessed a father come face to face with his son's killer and offer him a job. On 7, you didn't. 9 News, first on the ground when the story broke. 7 News, late again. See it first on 9.
Robbo, you're shaking your head at that, but
I
that
don't
was
know
a
what Robbo
promo that
thinks.
got cut through. I mean, having said that, it created a whole war on the road where
That's right,
7
yeah.
journos were threatening the 9 camos with shooting them and all this kind of stuff. But it made the point. 9 was first, and we were able to prove that.
Sorry, I had to take a while there. You single-handedly did kind of upset, and probably not for the best, the Sydney news gathering market especially between 7 and 9, based on that. Yeah, but I don't know if...
I eventually had to pull the promo in the way of settling
That's right.
everyone down.
That's right. It
I
got
think
pretty
so.
hairy out there. I've
Kill or be
worked with a lot of
killed,
those
die.
10 cameramen who also worked at 9 and 7, and they were not happy and still weren't happy, even when they moved over to Channel 10 and worked with us.
Yeah, well,
Oh my
here's the
God.
problem, though. Isn't it all just they all make these claims about being number one and then they're helping each other. Isn't it part of it getting in there and getting the best product rather than this, oh, we're lovers, we're friends, la, 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 la.
What are you talking about, though? If you're talking about the Sam Mack thing at the airport, then no, there was no excuse for that. She was trying to do a job and he had to do a job. I understand that they both got different roles.
What about
but
when
to
you rated the morning show trying to give them mugs?
Did I go in front of their cameras? No.
Well, you couldn't get in.
But you wouldn't have done that anyway. If they're doing a news update, I'm sorry. I'm really against. I'm not going to be pulled on this one. I think it was unfair what he did, and he should have He should have worked with her. They're all there to do a job. ABC was there to do a job. Do the gag once, fine, but to repeatedly do it, no, bad form.
All right, fair enough. Hey, look, it's official. The Ben, Robin, Robbo show is going on the road. We've been teasing it, and now we have the information for you. On Monday, 14th and Tuesday, 15th of December, we will be broadcasting live from Brisbane Holiday Village in 8 Mile Plains. You can come along and watch, meet us, hang out with us. We would love to see you there. It's a beautiful holiday village, and we can't wait to catch up with our good mate, Jeff. Robbo and I have both been there, and we can vouch for it. I even took the family there for Christmas a few years ago. We just love it. Come along at 11 a.m. local time if you'd like to be part of it. That's Monday and Tuesday, the 14th and 15th of December. We'll be there. Then on Wednesday, the 16th and Thursday, the 17th, we're heading on over to broadcast live from Ashmore Palms Holiday Village. They've got a kids' swimming pool lagoon, exotic birds, garden walkways. It's an award-winning and beautiful holiday park. And not only can you come and watch, you can stay at the Holiday Village for a discounted price and have some drinks with us. Head to ashmorepalmsgoldcoast.com.au, book at one of their premium palm cottages using the special code, and you'll love this, Robbo. Use the code Robbo and you will save up to $69 per night. You can also call and book if you call, you can book and request the special Ben Robin Robbo show deal. All of these details will be up on our social media pages after today's episode. We would love to see as many of you as possible at our live shows. It is the first time we will be all together broadcasting from the one spot, and it's going to be a really exciting way to finish the year. The borders are open, so come and join us in the Sunshine State. Yay! Yay!
I want everyone to know that I chose that discount because it's my favourite number. So make sure you get that discount, all right? It's very important. Very special to me.
Yes. It's been a long time since you've counted to that number.
A very long time. I'll tell you right now, it's a drought.
We've got some exciting guests coming up. Don't we have a former Prime Minister's granddaughter coming up on the show?
In just a few moments, but first it's time for a look through history with Robbo.
Robert, thank you very much. Let's check out what's happened on this day, December 1st, throughout history. And first up, we're heading to America. It was on this day in 1901 that the Ford Motor Company created the world's first moving assembly lines for its flagship car, the Model T Ford. At its height, the factory could produce a car every 40 seconds, which is absolutely amazing. We're going to quickly jump forward in just a moment to the future of the Ford cars. This is a 2030 concept Ford Mustang. Very, very bloody different to the Model T Ford. I'm sure Henry would be very proud. It was also on this day where we moved from cars to one of the most important bus rides in history. It was on this day in 1955 when Rosa Parks was arrested for refusing to move to the back of a segregated bus in Alabama. Ms. Parks is credited with helping start the civil rights movement in America. And finally, it was on this day in 1953 that Hugh Hefner published the first ever Playboy magazine. Hollywood icon Marilyn Monroe was the first centerfold, but she never actually posed for the magazine. The pics were from a photo shoot at the beginning of Monroe's career, and Hugh snapped them up. The biggest selling issue of all time sold more than 7 million copies. Now, but guys, for mine, my favourite bunny ever was, of course, the one and only Dolly Parton. She posed for the magazine in 1978, and there are thoughts and theories and rumours going around that she will once again front Playboy magazine to celebrate her 75th birthday.
Wow, that's big news. All right, thank you, Robbo. Well, today in Canberra is the Landcare Youth Summer, engaging with young people to encourage practical change for the environment. And hosting these panel sessions and workshops is Sophie Taylor-Price. She's continuing the legacy of her late grandfather and former Australian Prime Minister Bob Hawke. Sophie, you are in a car driving in between Parliament House and somewhere else. First of all, welcome to the Ben Robin Robbo Show.
Thanks, and thanks for having me. And I'm sorry for being the most annoying guest ever. And
I love a bit of action cam, so this is actually right up my alley. So, you are in a car, you're not driving, because you're moving from Parliament House to another building, right?
Correct. So we've just spent the last 2 hours in the theatre of Parliament House, and been hosting a virtual summit with 40 young people and students from across Australia. And because of COVID, we can only be in the room for 2 hours. So we're now on our way to the John Gorton building to finish up the rest of the session.
Okay, so what exactly does Landcare Australia do?
I mean, Landcare Australia, they bring people together from across Australia, across different geographies and social groups. And the main objective is to bring them together to help care for land and care for country.
Sophie, for those people who can't view or attend the virtual summit, what are some practical ways that they can do to help the environment?
It's just about, getting it done and connecting with local community to find local projects where you can get your hands dirty and make a difference. And there's an amazing impact that can be made when you share stories and you lead by example.
Look, your grandfather, Bob Hawke, he was a huge environmental pioneer during his time in Parliament. How much of an inspiration was he in the work you're doing now?
Oh, look, I spoke about that today. I was 4 years old when he sat me on his knee and launched the first State of the Environment report in 1989, and that's giving away my age. And he spoke, he spoke very passionately about the motivations for him was about caring for country like you care about our children, because it's our children's future. And I was 4 years old at the time, but somehow that obviously rubbed off on me, and it's shaped my career, it's shaped my values and the choices that I make in lifestyle and what I continue to do on a day-to-day basis.
So, Sophie, you mentioned at his memorial service that he really had a profound regret of how Australia has approached climate change. Do you think we're heading in the right direction now?
So yes, it was something that was a source of grief for him. You know, he was an idealist in so many ways, and he just wanted to get it done. And it made him really sad that we weren't progressing as fast as he wanted us to progress. And I don't think it's just Australia; it's globally as well. And yes, there is some sense that we could be doing so much more, and there is an urgency. There is a real urgency about taking action. But one of the things that I have internalized over the last 12 months in particular, 12 to 14 months, is that if we're not optimistic, if we're not hopeful, if we're not, doggedly focused on it being possible, then it's not going to be possible. So are we doing enough? No. We can obviously do more, but that should not discourage us from being optimistic about our ability to actually make the difference that we need to make.
I just can imagine that Bob Hawke would be the rest of your family as well would be so proud of you being a facilitator of change. Do you ever feel pressure, though?
No one could fill his footsteps. I wouldn't try to be like him or to achieve what he's achieved. He was a phenomenal individual, but that doesn't mean that I can't find my voice and do what I can to make a difference and to make change. I'm not going to be the next Prime Minister of Australia. That's not my lot in life, but I'm working hard at doing what I can, and what I care about is working with young people and amplifying their voices and giving them the platform to create the change that they want to see.
You know, we talk about your grandfather. There's two quick questions for you. Do you have the family trait of being able to down a schooner in one go?
Surprisingly, you're not the first person to ask me that one. And no, I can't.
Right, okay. I was waiting for the answer. You seemed hesitant. But look,
no, that's not my style. Give me a South Australian Shiraz.
Your dad's actually been making news this week because he's been portrayed in The Crown, and Four Corners have come out having a go at the producers of The Crown about the way he was depicted, because they had him saying that the Queen was a pig on national television. The ABC actually released the original interview showing that the interview in fact went quite differently. What do you think about this? What do you think about the way he is portrayed and the misinformation around that?
I did watch The Crown, and I did watch that episode completely blindsided. I had no idea what was coming. I'm like, oh, that's my pup. And look, one of the most important things that I've learned growing up in the halo of a media spotlight is that I can't judge my family and I can't judge myself on how we're portrayed in media. That isn't healthy, and I take it with a grain of salt. To me, it's one of my favourite Netflix shows, but I'm not going to get caught up in whether it was accurate or not, because I'm sure it wasn't.
Sophie, you are an inspiration. Your grandfather would be very proud. Thank you for joining us on the Ben, Rob and Robbo show today.
Thank you, and thank you for tolerating my awful setup.
You were great.
I hope you understand. And I have to go finish off looking after the youth summit and making sure that these kids walk away from today feeling super inspired and with tools and resources to start their own projects. Landcare's done an amazing job. All the schools who are participating today, they get a $1,000 grant to give to the students to start their own project. We're really empowering these kids to like shoot them out into the world to make their own little bit of difference in their backyard.
Good message to end
Amazing.
on, Sophie. Thank you so much.
Thanks, guys. Have a great day.
It's the random life shot of the day. Where are you going today? You never know where you'll end up with the random life shot of the day.
Today we are taking you to across the South Asia to the beautiful Maldives. The sun is rising, but it is set to be a hot and rainy day with a bottom of 22 degrees and a top of 30. Look at that beautiful shot there. Let's have a look at some feedback here on the Ben, Rob and Robbo show. Gay Wright says, this photo is to discredit us worldwide. Talking about the China tweet showing an Australian soldier with a knife up against an Afghan child's throat. Ben says, I'm proud of the way ScoMo and Alan Tudge have conducted themselves. Also talking about that very confronting image that China has released on their official government social media. Philip says, it's time to cancel my Stan subscription. This man deserves no airtime. Talking about the announcement that Stan is going to make a movie about the events leading up to the Port Arthur massacre. Nicole says, how can you make a movie without using the name of the bad guy or the actual events behind the movie? Oh, that's a good point, Nicole. That's something they might have to think about. Carol, a wonderful Carol, says, I have a phobia about Rob impersonating me. We all do, Carol.
Sorry,
we all have nightmares about it.
I have a phobia about Rob impersonating me. Love, Carlotta. Hey, Dale, can you give me a call this afternoon too? We need to talk about some upcoming shows.
This is Rob's little megaphone here to the neighbourhood, which is lovely. Carol, please give Rob a call. Anne says, saw this watching sunrise. It was hilarious. Love Sam. Love heart. That's Anne talking about Sam Mack constantly interrupting another reporter's job there, but that's all right. Janelle says, well said, Robbo, social distancing. What's social distancing? But I loved the Mike Goldman cameo. Lol, that's also about Sam at Brisbane Airport this morning. Glenn says, Sam Mack cutting in and destroying her story or ability to get the grabs was utterly crappy behaviour. I've got to agree there, Glenn. Once is fun, 3 times it's not. Jamie says, is the BRR show going off air over Christmas? Well, to find out, please stay with us after this very short message where I tell you if you want to share your thoughts, head to our Ben, Rob and Robbo social medias on Twitter, Facebook and Instagram to search BRR Show. Welcome back. We're now going to cross live to Rob McKnight to find out, are we going to be on over Christmas?
We are going off over Christmas, but the live broadcasts are our last week of the year. All right, let's move on.
There you go. Sorry.
Well, we love the new series of Big Brother on Channel 7, and we had a great time covering the show on the Eye on Big Brother videocast that we did. But, Ben, I feel we need a hit of Big Brother goss. What have you got for me, my friend?
Well, Rob, thanks for that. Well, as you would remember, Hannah, who was a series favourite of the 2020 Big Brother, you might remember her for her brush with Talia on the show. I remember when she turned up, Talia probably didn't play nice. But
we loved Hannah.
Look, we really loved her. I actually remembered her from her bio video when we saw her going into the show. You could see she's a beautiful girl. She had this fantastic relationship with her grandmother. So I was really excited about her going into the show. Well, she's made news headlines for 2 reasons. Not only has she had a makeover, which as far as I'm concerned looks very Margot Robbie of her.
Oh, wow.
The article is in news.com.au and the Daily Mail. But they also mentioned that she had a secret romance with Kieran after the show. So she's joining us right now. Hannah, what do you have to say about this amazing makeover? You look fabulous.
Thanks, guys. Thanks for having me. Well, actually, one of the main head studios in Perth hit me up and they wanted to do my hair. So I went in and I pretty much said to them, you can do whatever you want. I don't know why at the time. And then I ended up walking out a little bit lighter. But I love it. It's cool.
Well, you're looking fabulous. Now, I'm really intrigued here because the The rumour mill is in overdrive. You did admit on the Eye on Big Brother videocast that you and Kieran had a kiss, which was never broadcast. But is it true that you're having a romance with dear Kieran? Is it fact or fiction? Fiction.
I think to Kieran it's a fact, but to me it's definitely fiction.
Well, I've got to ask you, though, there has been some Snapchats, though. There seems to be a little bit of evidence. We've got them here now. Let's have a look.
Kieran.
Set you free, Hannah. That's what he's put up there. Hannah Campbell reveals that a secret romance. Also, I understand you must be hurting right now, Hannah Campbell, with all the feelings you developed for me. Oh, isn't he a smooth talker? And finally, we've got, what are you talking about, Hannah Campbell? You asked me out and I rejected you. Them's are fighting words. If only we had someone that we could confirm with. Oh, that's right, we do.
Oh, yeah.
We do.
Let's bring him in. Hello, Kieran.
Hello, guys. How are you? So, Hannah, let's cut the bullshit here. You asked me out and I rejected you. Okay? So, that's the record. That's what we're standing right here. That's what happened.
Okay, sorry, I'm shocked.
She's speechless. She's fallen back in love with me, guys. That's why she's so shocked.
I'm sweating.
I
very mean girls of us.
And now I'm rocking her world again via live video. Isn't that's what's happening?
Kieran, I'm sweating. I did not expect to see you.
Oh, look, I know. My glorious face, you know. You were attracted to me in the house, now you realise you love me again, Hannah. It's okay, we all understand. I think the guys
it's all the butterflies, Kieran.
All right, I need to ask you. Okay, before we move on, we just got to wrap this up really quickly. I just need to hear something from both of you. Kieran, do you have feelings for Hannah? Is that what's going on here? Are you making a mountain out of a molehill for the papers?
Oh, look, I've actually had to get a restraining order against Hannah because she's been calling my mum and saying, when's the wedding? And I'm just like, chill, I'm in Adelaide, you're in Perth. We've got to calm down here. I get that you want the whole long distance thing, but look, it's getting a bit too much on my end. And I've contacted the authorities. So, look,
Hannah,
I'm in a bit of trouble here, Ben.
Cut his microphone.
Let's get Adelaide for Christmas.
Yeah, true, yeah.
We do need to get to the truth here because Hannah, you have admitted to the kiss. Now, is Kieran telling the truth or is he telling porky pies?
About the kiss?
No, about the relationship status that you've been hunting him down like a wild woman.
Well, I think it's one big porky pie.
It's not what news.com.au says.
Look how red Kieran is.
And when did you bring that story to them, Kieran?
No, I gave them the exclusive the other day. I'm surprised it took them so long to run with it, to be honest with you. I was expecting it to be up within 12 hours. This is hot off the press.
Well, I'm not going to believe it unless it's in the Daily Mail, just quietly. So, Hannah...
Oh, it will be, knowing our luck.
Hannah, thank you for joining us. I
Thanks,
think Ben
guys.
pulled off a magnificent surprise there. Kieran, she's here with you and she's denying it, mate. You're looking a bit desperate.
Kieran, I love you, but you're a legend.
She's told me she's coming to my house for Christmas, guys, so we'll see what happens. I'll give you the exclusive on the next episode of Ben, Rob and Robbo right here, reporting live from Adelaide.
Love it. Well,
Yeah.
when the borders come down, maybe you two can get together. So, because you're in Perth and the borders are still up. So, you know, you never know. There might be a cross-COVID romance in the wings. So, there you go.
Modern day Big Brother Romeo and Juliet. That's what I like to call it.
Move over, Chad and Sophie, and in comes Kieran and Hannah. Guys, thank you for joining us on the Ben, Rob and Robbo show.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks, guys.
Bye.
Cheers. See ya.
Oh, I love those two. I'm invested.
We've cleared anything up there.
No, but I want to see what happens next. It's going to be like a full page spread in like Woman's Day or something of their wedding. You know, they'll show clips of this show. It'll be fantastic. We'll leave that love story powder dry for the moment now. Let's go to the Actor Awards, which happened last night. Ben, what went down?
Thanks, Robbo. Look, ABC Stateless was the big winner of the night. The movie Baby Teeth also did extraordinarily well. But the big story of the night was Tom Gleeson's opening monologue. I wish that we had this footage, but we don't. He hosted the ceremony and it appears that no one was safe. He poked fun at Pete Evans, who, as we know, was dropped from I'm a Celebrity, saying, it's a missed opportunity for Channel 10, though. The first challenge could have been, how about you try this vaccination, or stand underneath the 5G tower, or maybe you could be credible. Like, these are challenges that Pete Evans would have really struggled with. But look, he took aim at lots of other shows as well. He took aim at SAS Australia, saying it was so entertaining that they almost forgot about war crimes. But Studio 10 was possibly his biggest victim. You guys are going to love this. He spoke about Kerry-Anne Kennerley, saying that she called him a wimp for not going on Studio 10, but said, I didn't go on Studio 10 because I enjoyed performing to an audience. Continuing with, there are more people in this room socially distancing than who watch Studio 10. And going to Studio 10 is like yelling your opinions into an empty shoebox. And finally, if a tree falls in the forest and no one is there to hear it fall, you're on Studio 10. So I tell you what, this was kind of outrageous. And I just want to say, I'm just going to put a restriction on both of you saying anything about these comments, because I think it's already been said. But what an amazing job. So look, that's going to air on television on Fox Arts on December 6th. So you can see that opening monologue in all its glory. I hope I've done some justice to it. I'm sure that Gleason's going to call me and tell me that I'm a hack. But yeah, I'm going to definitely watch that one.
Sorry, I locked my lips. See? Nice little visual game. Thanks for the support. Hey, Ben, you've got a great TikTok of the day, and it's a Simpsons-related thing, but it's really, really fascinating.
Yeah, thanks, Rob. I'm so excited because I just always love the TikToks of the day. So today's TikTok of the day is, Simpsons-related. We have this woman who does all the characters of the voices. Anyway, look, I'm just making a dog's breakfast of this.
Nancy Cartwright.
It's Nancy Cartwright doing a TikTok, and it's got billions of views. Check this out.
Your attention, please. Your attention, please. I have an announcement to make. I'm bored.
Ha ha! You think you're bored? What about all those poor suckers out there in the audience?
Ah, yeah. They just keep praying that their category is next. Well, as long as they are praying, and while we're at it, I get to anoint their feet.
You keep your hands off me, you little twink, or I'll call the cops.
My daddy's a cop. His breath smells like cat food. And that, my friends, is how I make a living.
I
that's
love
awesome.
that. I just think that is brilliant.
That is
I'm sorry, I was
that's good.
texting my mum just to let her know that I'm sorry. I thought we'd open the show with talking about my mum and Bob Hawke's granddaughter, so I thought I'd finish with that note as well. Sorry to my mum that I didn't ask any personal questions about the time that you met Bob Hawke. The next time I have any of the Hawke family on the show, I will tell them about that meeting in East Bentley in Melbourne. And I just want to say thank you for all of that research you did that was never seen.
Yes, Ben was showing us
you,
he had pages and pages of text. There was nothing to do with Sophie, but all about Bob Hawke. She was fabulous. Thank you for a great show, boys. And to answer your questions, yes. So we are doing our live shows all together on the week commencing the 14th. That is our last week on air, and then we are off air for 6 weeks. We're going to have a good long lie down and a cold hard Bex and a Bex and a good lie down. Isn't that right, Robbo? Anyway,
that's it.
I'll work out what I'm trying to say, and we'll see you tomorrow on the Ben, Rob, and Robbo show.
It's the Ben, Rob, and Robbo, Ben, Rob, and Robbo, Ben, Rob, and Robbo show.